How y'all doing? This is Jebb Adams. Happy New Year. Bonne année. And here I am with, well, I got the Singer 306K here. Just dusting it off to show it to you, because there's a couple of things that I wanted to find out about. And I haven't touched a 306 probably for about 3 years now. But there it is. And behind that, we have the 500J, the Singer 500J from the 500 restoration project. And haven't done much with that for about 7 or 8 months. So that's going to be happening, re-happening in the next, well, I work in 4 quarters. So, you know, today's January 6th or 7th, so it's Q1 25, first quarter of 2025. And there you see behind and beside the machines we have the 411G, which I've been using as a template to do the work on the 500J. So the 500J is going to be coming up in the next 90 days, Q1 25, and the 411G is giving it support by showing me how it should be when it's done correctly. I took that one apart, but I'm using that one that's still kind of half put together as an example to put it together correctly. Now this Singer, someone was asking about the positioning pin, and I'm going to point it out with the screwdriver right here. Positioning pin is right there, and what it does is it fits into a cutout, and that's what it does. And when it does that, it keeps everything inside here, like the bobbin case holder. And I've got the bobbin case out of there right now. And the hook is right there. The hook is right there. It's right there. And it goes up there like that. So what fits in here on that post is the bobbin case. And inside the bobbin case is the bobbin full of thread. And the question was, someone, a nice person down in Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, or Tasman, or whatever, their bobbin inside the bobbin case got really a big bird's nest. It got all knotted and messed up. Okay, of course I did a beautiful performance and I didn't turn the camera on again. The point was, a person had left a comment and they had had a problem taking out the bobbin case. They struggled to get the bobbin case out. And the bobbin case has the bobbin inside it, right? And the bobbin case sits on that pedestal, and that's why you have to lift the little lever up on the bobbin case when you want to pull it out, because when that lever goes down horizontal, it locks into that divot right there on the hook, what do you want to call that little post there. And the hook is there, right by my finger. So, and the hook will rotate freely. The positioning finger will not prevent the hook from doing its job, and it will also not prevent the bobbin case and bobbin from doing their jobs. So the problem the person had was that the bobbin case and apparently the thread inside the bobbin case, it all twangled up and made bird's nests, and it was a mess. And they were cleaning out the thread, but they had to struggle to get the bobbin case out. And I don't think it's a great idea to have to struggle to get the bobbin case out. And I wonder if that's maybe what happened to create more of a problem or a new problem for them. But in the process of struggling to get the bobbin case out, and they never did explain what struggling meant or how they got it out. But there's only one way to take it out, and that's to lift the lever and pull it out. And if it doesn't come out because the thread is in there jamming everything up, then the next job is to get the thread out, and don't do anything else until you get the thread out and it'll start to turn. But anyway, in their search for more thread, apparently, they did take that off. And then when they put it back on and they had the thread all cleared out and whatever, and then they rotated the balance wheel, the needle was hitting something. And their question was, what could it be? Does the needle need to be reset, or you know, what's going on. And so my point was, when I was writing back to them, was that, you know, especially with machines are not humans, they're inanimate objects. So if something went wrong with that machine, it's not the machine that did it, it's the human that did it. You know, and I did say to the person, you need to really think what you did that would have caused that to not make the needle function correctly. And now the person was speculating, getting into, well, does the needle, or you know, whatever, need to be reset? And that's kind of, I don't reset needles. I make sure that whatever I do, you know, I just do what I need to do, and I don't take anything out or apart that isn't very obviously affecting the malfunction. But that was my point. They took that off, they put it back in, and now the needle is banging on something. And I really don't know what they did. But you know, when I was trained as a tradesman, you know, to move freight locomotives, because that's what I did for a business. For life, I moved trains. And I remember the trainer that was training me to run the engine, run the train, run the locomotive. He said, you know, when you do something to the locomotive and the train is just fine, he said, just let it go. Don't touch the throttle or the brake or anything else unless you absolutely have to. Because he said, quite often, you know, the less you do is the better course. You know, with physics and life, you know, there's quite often when you do something, there is something else that occurs because you did it, and quite often when whatever occurs is not really good, or may, you know, really defeat the job you're trying to do. So that was the first thing. So I'm going to stop yakking about that. But it was nice. I'm glad I got the comment, because it's been about 3 years since I took a look at one of the 306s. So I'm going to talk about I think I've already talked about the 500J and the 411G, and so that's what I'm going to stop with about the 306K right now, and we're going to talk about something else. Let me put the 306K away. And also in this Q125, this first quarter, this first 90 days, or whatever we have left of first quarter, whatever we have left of first quarter 2025, I'm going to focus back on my main goal for the next year, which is to make a pair of blue jeans. But I don't want to leave my restoration education behind. So that's why I will be getting back in a week or a couple of weeks or a month or two to the 500J and getting the cam stack and all its followers and limiters, getting that all reassembled again. I did a video back in May of 24, you know, taking it out and then replacing it. And I actually replaced all the parts. I actually put the cam stack and all the followers and pins and all that back in. I did it 3 or 4 times, because when I do restorations especially, I like to do them a number of times, you know, hopefully close to 10 times. But we see the Singer heavy duty 4432 here, and then in the background I have right there, the Surgeon, which I still have to get back to. But I haven't done any sewing for about a week, maybe, like 4 or 5 days, because of New Year's and family, you know, commitments and all that with people. So that's where I'm starting here on this first video of 2025, and it is January 6th, and I want to say welcome back. I hope you had a great holiday, that you're still really safe and having loads of fun, and thank you for viewing and visiting me here at the channel. Subscribers are always welcome, as are viewers and likers. And the channel is getting some viewers, and the sewing dream and the jeans dream seems to be attracting viewers. But nonetheless, I'm not going to leave anything behind and forget or abandon restorations, because that is my, you know, my firm ground, my terra firma. That's where my sewing began. I will say that when I started doing restorations years ago, the actual goal was to learn how to sew. And I didn't start learning to sew until this past September 6, 2024, or a little later. So I'm right around 120 days or less of learning how to sew. But I'm doing well. And I want to thank all of you for coming here and the advice that I get from your comments. And there are some great channels, YouTube channels, that show people how to sew and fix, you know, get the machines working. One thing I have that I do on a regular basis now is when I am going to start sewing, I have found that the best course of action is to totally rethread the upper thread and the bobbin thread. And the reason I say that is because being a new sewer, I wasn't doing that, and I would just, you know, I'd see where I left off, and I've got the bobbin thread there, and I've got the upper thread there, and the needle. And quite often when I started, after maybe a day gap or just, you know, a gap between sewing sessions, regardless of the time, it would seem that there was little thread issues, like little bird's nests or things not working correctly. And so my standard operating procedure now is when I'm going to start the machine up on a new sewing venture, then I just cut the thread, I pull the bobbin thread out, and then I start again, I rethread the upper, and then you send the upper thread down to catch the bobbin thread after I've reset it again down there. And so that is really helpful. So that is another reason, one of the other things I wanted to say about in this video about how it's going. So for, you know, some of you new folks like me, there's my little rule of thumb, and I know you've learned some standard operating procedures for your own stuff. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking, and this is the video. And there will be another one shortly, like in the next few days, and it will be a little more. It'll be, what I'll be doing is I'll be sewing muslin, because I washed the muslin and I pre-shunk it, and I've got loads of the stuff, 5 yards of the stuff, 5 meters if you're in Canada, and so that's where I'm at. But you know what, when I started the YouTube channel back on September 27th, 2020, I had no idea that there was actually people interested in this niche, you know, of like restorations and sewing and all that stuff. So it's really a pleasant niche for, you know, for an old Jebb Adams like me. You know what? I love you guys. I'm glad that you had a great holiday and that it's a new year, and there's, you know, this optimism flowing that it's a new year and we all get to start again, you know. So thanks for being here. We'll yak later. Stay safe. Have fun. Adios, amigos.